Welcome to the Empowered Soul Podcast, a cozy audio nest of soulful musings and heart-made creations. If you're a mystical soul craving connection and inspiration, you've found your flock. Hi, I am MC Mama Bird, a mama, artist, soul regression therapist in training, and longtime yoga and meditation guide, sharing stories, conversations, and everyday magic for your soul and your family. Now take a deep breath and stretch your wings wide to enjoy the ride. Well, hello, beautiful souls, and welcome back for all of us here at the Empowered Soul Podcast. It feels so good to be back here with you. I haven't recorded anything in over a month, and I tell you, sometimes it just takes me a few tries before I can feel at ease with this whole recording thing. In May, I left my episodes publication list pretty neat and tidy so that everything would release on time in our every other Tuesday schedule. And I just got back from a really big trip, so this episode should have released on June 23rd according to schedule, but it is being published just a little bit later as I'm still kind of like in this wowza mode, catching up with so much at home, and especially, I tell you, within. You know those moments where you do know something huge has shifted, but you still don't know how to put words into it, because words can only do so much, especially to reflect these inner sanctuary changes. And I often find myself sitting on my chair, just breathing and feeling, or standing on my kitchen counter talking to myself about all the internal shifts happening. So I'm kind of in one of those moments right now. And as I was thinking about how to put this episode together, I titillated between just making a super tiny mini-sode to fall into schedule with the pod while I integrated all my processing and my learnings. I just wasn't sure what I was going to do and what was going to happen. And either doing that or just following my heart on this one and writing down all my feelings and sensations and journeys so far and going for it, actually making a full-on episode. So I'm just going to continue with where this journey is going to take me. I really don't know how long this is going to be for, but it's just going to burst out of my heart. So let's go for it. Right now, my creation station is still a little messy. I need to organize my closet. Oh my God. There's just like a bit of disarray in there. I have laundry that still needs to be done, gardening that needs to be tended to, because in South Dakota, we only have a very short growing period from about June to September, more or less. I mean, we can get started on gardening around April. Mother's Day is when a lot of people go out and buy plants. But for us, since we took this trip, I really just have like now until more or less August, September. And, you know, we still get hail here in the summer. My neighbor was just telling me yesterday how her sister had her beautiful roses in her garden and they just got destroyed by a huge hailstorm 2 days ago. And it is June 24th right now. And that's just how it goes sometimes. A lot of our neighbor gardeners have these nets over their gardening plots in order to protect them from hail. I'm hoping to get some seeds on the ground this weekend. And we started a little bit at a time since we got this house, but we started this year with building a live fence and doing so with lilacs. It's like every year we add a little bit more to the garden, but we haven't really gone full blown on it because we've been super busy in the parenting cave. And this year, I mean, if we still have time, and I hope so, I want to get a blueberry bush, and I also have some seeds that I've been saving, maybe some pretty flowers and a few edibles, whatever I can grow with what time I have left. Because if I had really started in April or early May, I would have more wiggle room. But right now, I'll just take what I can get. And we have a pup too, so she uses obviously the outdoors for her needs and necessities, and we need to build a little run for her so that it's just her area to go when she needs to. Because now that we're starting to grow food in the front yard, well, we need to separate everything. And for now, we have a mulberry and apple tree, a raspberry bush, and some lilacs, and a few pollinator and some pretty petunias in the balcony. Just little by little, we start to grow from the inside out, and we have a front yard, and then eventually we want to grow more things in our backyard. Honestly, we feel very blessed to have enough space for our family here and still living downtown. We get lots of hydration, even though we could always use more, but it is so green and so lush right now. In fact, it's just been raining on and off these last few days since we've been back, and I give lots of gratitude to Mother Earth, Gaia Sophia, the true living goddess that gives us all, from the shelter, the love and our nutrition, the hydration, and all the huge spiritual lessons and remembrance we must do while we visit her in this human incarnation ride. And then since being back, I wanted to rest so much. But right after arrival, shortly after, like within a couple of days, Rue, our pup, got sick. And that has taken me a whole week plus to get her back into alignment. Thank Goddess that she is fine and that her stool sample came negative for parasites. Yay! And now I'm just slowly introducing her ordinary food back. This will happen. You take trips and everyone in the family feels it, including our pups. They are so sensitive. But this one truly, it was on me though. She was so well taken care of by our amazing dog sitter. And when I got back, I reintroduced her to food right away, like the usual scraps and human food treats and leftovers, and her tummy revolted. After 12 days of being with the dog sitter and not having any human treats, oh boy. The lessons, my friends, are always happening. It just doesn't end, does it? And that is why I think making peace with life by surrendering and trying to at times just eventually loving what is, what just is, what happens. Some of it we attract, some of it is just life as it happens, and some of it is attracted to us. Right before we left on this big trip, like 2 days before, as usual, I parked my car on the street. But for months and some time now, I kept feeling this urge to park the car in the back of our lot in the home off the alley. But I just never got around to it, simply because parking up front was just so much easier. And then, right before our trip, someone hit my car in a hit and run. And I was so sad. Like my little car that has never suffered an injury from all the great care that she's received from us and her previous owners. I was so bummed, you guys. And then just days before our scheduled trip, in the full itinerary, which was a huge investment for our family, my son started with a fever and vomiting at midnight, just 12 days before our flight. I was so nervous. I really wasn't sure if we would be on that flight out. And I just kept telling myself, wow, this is harder than I thought. I mean, it is really brave to travel with a little one because you're just so vulnerable, to all the rides, and it's harder to plan things. Their little bodies are still getting acclimated to their environments. It's just, you may not have a certainty, as if it's just two adults or even just you yourself making these decisions. Anyways, we made these doctor visits, and in the end, we were all okay to travel. But I just kept thinking, once I'm sitting on that flight to the UK, once I am there with the fasten your seatbelt signs on, I know I will need several pictures to take of that moment, and it will feel like I climbed Mount Everest. Because truly, that is how it felt for us. And I know especially for me, because I get so much more anxiety and nervousness and get super sensitive about these things way more than my husband. And thank God for that, because he keeps that grounded center for us while I'm navigating all these different appointments and healing the family. And oh my goodness. Anyways, from wrapping up my academics for soul regression and my little graduation, to my son having a little mini graduation of his daycare, to illness, to organizing finances before an international trip and making sure all the reservations were done well, to getting nervous even about driving on the left side in England because we were going to rent a car, to all of this that I just shared with you, and I'm sure so much more I can't even recall right now, but it was a lot. I mean, a lot. And this whole year has been back to back for sure. And like so far, it's just felt like it was just a wink. I mean, here we are, and it is summer solstice. And I count about 10 days before and after for the summer solstice, because for me, it's kind of like a window period. I celebrate along the way, and I give myself a lot of time. Oftentimes, I can't really plan things exactly on the spot because there's just so much going on with the family, but I'm acknowledging the sun and the journey that we have with the sun and the earth, giving myself 10 days before and after so I can celebrate appropriately. And I just notice just the way that the sun moves in my living room and the yard and how the sunlight changes. And I start to take inventory of what has grown so far and how we're going to start approaching the winter solstice. That's a whole new kind of growth that will be taking place, one that will be more quiet, more internal and introspective. In some parts of my little world, I'm not really feeling that cut up yet, but that's okay. Like, for example, my Kabbalah school, I have much to replay and catch up on, but this time I'm not rushing back into it. For one, I just couldn't. My dog was sick, and I was starting to feel like a sore throat coming on too, signaling to me, hey, you need to take this slow and easy, this whole thing of coming back home. Because it can be really overwhelming, all the stuff that you need to get back on track with. And it's just not going to happen overnight. It's like most people say, I need a vacation from the vacation. And I also need time to get myself moving and rolling the way that I would like to for, getting the house organized and my kid ready back in school, all those kinds of things. And emotionally, this time around, it just didn't feel right to just jump into everything right away. I also just went through some major timeline shifting with my teacher, Ash, and the Sacred Sites tour we did in England. And that alone takes so much quiet, solitude, and processing, which, as we all know, in parenting, it is only available in certain pockets of time. So as I put this together now, I am finding that, this episode is also part of my processing and my reintegration too. and realizing all the energetic work that went behind this manifestation of a trip. I trust that all my schools, my teachings, my teachers, and journeys are actually being weaved together as strains of a magnificent quilt as we speak. And sometimes it is hard to see it that way because we like to be more physical or more immediate or in control, but it is happening. And we give ourselves that precious space and time for it, the spirit world, to also do its own work, because it's not just our own immediate work. We are removing ourselves and detoxifying ourselves from the pressure of the go, go, go culture. And actually, this reminds me of one of the lyrics of one of my rhymes called Inner Child. And it goes like this. We are in control. We are now the guides. No one can hurt us. No more lies. So we get to steer this ship, and we're not doing it alone. And this reminds me of another line that goes like this. We walk with angels and guides on our way. This incarnation ain't easy. Sometimes we go astray. Our ancestors and other dimensional beings that truly care and are helping us, like our spirit team, our higher self, our angels, source itself, the field of creation, and all the ancient teachings and teachers are invested in this magnificent quilt that is being formed with us at the center as a creative black hole from where all life stems from. So yeah, taking the time, and I'm right now sipping some Cornish black tea from one of our beautiful castle hotels we stayed at in St. Ives in Cornwall, and eating some of the leftover granola from West Overton, which is the cutest little town close to the Avebury Sacred Stone Circles. This was an epic trip, and I love bringing back little memorabilia like leftover tea or little honeys, or even the granola that was left over, or little chocolates from all the different places we stayed, because then when I get home, I just get to pause and open it and smell it and taste it and remember, and it brings me back like a little umbilical cord connection to the place that we visited that gave us so many blessings just by the privilege and honor of being there in that moment to meet its people, its culture, and its beautiful surroundings. It's just so sweet. So I'm having that moment, writing this out, writing memories and remembering our journey with some of these things and recording, and it's all like part of this integration that's happening and that needs to happen. So I got a feeling that this episode is not going to be a mini-sode. I thought about it. Let's just make something short. But now that I'm going through it, I think I'm just pouring my heart out, and that's just where we need to be. We worked so hard for this trip. We got our tickets like 9 months ago, and we saved. I saved every little gift that I got in money from my family for this trip. And we saw videos to prepare, places we thought we wanted to see, and also that are kid-friendly, because some of the things that are attractive to us might not be attractive to our son. So we were learning about all these awesome different things that we could do with our kid. And we studied, and above all, we trusted. And even though there were many obstacles and doubts, and I truly mean that when I say that, I was so scared at some moments in time if this trip was really going to happen. And then there it was. The moment to breathe and enjoy the fruits of our work. And then somehow all along, we were being supported. Even when my nervous system could not see ahead, I felt my mom and Pixie and my whole spirit family with us on that journey. Before, as we prepared, and during the journey, and also now being back. And I have this feeling that my mom was able to see so many of these new places for her through my eyes. So, Mom, as you can hear me and feel me, know that I felt you there, and Pixie too, and I mean the whole tribe. I felt you guys there, and I could feel that you were experiencing these places through us and through our joy. And I even saw feathers on the path in the majestic lush gardens of the Tregenna Castle in St. Eves. And then the way the sunbeams would come off the clouds when I finally reached the epic summit of Glastonbury tour after a beautiful download teaching from my teacher at the entry gate of the sacred site. We also felt helpers and speakers from the other dimensions in the ravens and the jackdaws, these birds that kind of look like crows and ravens, but they're not. They're called jackdaws, and they have such a cool song that is really distinct. It's different from your normal raven and crow here in the US. And we saw them interacting differently with us at the Stonehenge when we had our own activation circle with our teacher. And just all the sweet, ordinary ways that people would look at us and smile, especially when they saw the innocence of my son. And he definitely stole the show at every flight. I mean, he fell in love with the British Airways pretzels, and all the stewardesses were so adorable and would come back and check on him and sneak a few more bags of pretzels just for him. We just felt throughout all of this that there was a lot of love and support and protection and guidance, even through all the obstacles, doubts, and hard moments. So now, isn't it amazing, looking back, how we could have said, hey, you could just relax all the way through this preparation thing and just trust, because look at how it all ended up being. But in the moment, depending on your upbringing, but for me, it was like holding on to dear life. I had a lot of anxiety, a lot of fears and doubts that crept in. What if he gets sick during the trip? And it's just so funny how sometimes we think that by having these worries, somehow we're going to affect the outcome towards a manipulation of what we want to see in results. And that is like kind of illogical. It's an illogical habit we have, but one that is very deeply embedded in the nervous system habits. And maybe it just isn't always about trying to change all of that so quickly either. I mean, some of them may not even be able to be changed, because that is just how our body has been created and programmed and reacts to like big fear in life when we lived more exposed to the elements. But for me in that moment, that was my big lion attack fear. And it was more about, how do I get myself to center, calming my body into safety, and reassuring myself into trusting of the unfolding. And most of my closest loved ones would know I am very open to communicating my fears and my anxieties, my worries. It is the way I move through them. Other times it is crying them out. Other times it calls for going on a walk. And other times it is just talking them out loud to myself or to my mom in the kitchen, and then surrendering myself into prayer and meditation. So yeah, there was a lot going on for us last month as we prepared for our trip. But once we got there, it was truly incredible. I mean, like literally doors would open for us, and people greeted us with so much sweetness and hospitality. I loved all the people that we encountered for the most part in our journey in England. It was truly amazing. I actually Going into this, I hadn't even thought about how friendly, the depth of how friendly these people in the UK were. It was awesome. It was so amazing. It was so sweet. I have such great memories. And I know that having a little one really helps a lot because people just perked up and would smile and would feel a sense of trust with us by having our son around. And they would just melt at his big smile, and he's so gregarious, super friendly, and he's very communicative, and he's so unafraid to saying hi to people he doesn't know. And needless to say, we made a lot of friends on this trip. Our cozy apartment in South Kensington, London was so perfect. It was quiet, cozy, warm. It was in the basement, so it was like really nurturing and nestling within. And fully equipped with a kitchen and laundry setup and a super comfy bed. We stayed right in front of the Natural History Museum, and we went there and got coffee and breakfast at their beautiful cafe. And then we marveled at their collections of crystals and rocks and taxidermied birds. And also the biggest attraction was the epic T-Rex exhibition. They had a huge T-Rex mimicking like a live one, and it would move and make sounds, and all the kids were just loving it. That room was jam-packed with kids. I'm pretty sure that was my son's favorite part of the trip. We loved our London trip. And there are so many parts of the story, like getting lost in the beautiful alleys, these tiny little alleys that are called Mews, M-E-W-S, Mews, or Mews. I called it Mews, but maybe it's Mews. And I think it's like these small alleys where it had the entrances, like the way we have garage doors, but it was like the entrances to where they had the stables because the horses was the main mode of transportation. I think that's the use for these lovely little alleys, but they were adorable. The architecture and the gardens and little benches to sit down. It was just so perfect, and we loved getting lost in them. It was like walking back in time. And then walking to find St. Paul's Cathedral. All the while, we had no idea what we were doing, but we bumped into Leadenhall on the way there without really planning it. Leadenhall is part of the historic city of London. It's known for its ancient origins and iconic architecture that dates back to the 14th century and built over the ancient Roman center of Londinium. It was so beautiful. And it was a great stop. We found a really cozy pizzeria. The people were Italian and the waitress was Italian. It was fun to speak Italian with her and practice a little bit. The food was delicious with caprese salad and authentic Italian pizza. And there's a lot of entertainment there too. There was a dancer with hula hoops, and many kids and families were just loving. It was super uplifting, celebratory, entertainment, high vibes. That was really fun. It was on our list, but we didn't think we were going to actually go there. There's only so much you can do when you have a kiddo, so I was kind of streamlining my destinations, and sure enough, that was a gift from just being in the flow, being impromptu. It was great. Leadenhall was beautiful. And we also loved Leakey Street. I don't know how you exactly pronounce that. Leake Street, Leake. It's in the South Bank, and it was so cool. It was something that I really wanted to do. It was high on my list. It's a tunnel from the old subway tube system that is no longer in operation. It was blocked off, and it's full of art, street art, and graffiti, and lots of live artists were there also doing their graffiti work, and it was awesome. It was such a great experience. I also got to tag there. I tagged 3 times with my podcast stickers, and that was really fun. And it was a total dream come true for me because I was there putting my stickers, standing next to these incredible live artists and also beautiful artwork that was already on the walls. And the beautiful thing about Leak Tunnel is that it changes every day and actually every hour, because there's always live artists stenciling or bombing the walls. It was super fun. They even had 2 or 3 pubs or restaurants inside the tunnel too, and definitely your more eclectic vibe and group of people. We love the adventures of just walking and getting to and from places. And after Leaky Tunnel, we crossed over from one of their bridges. They have so many bridges. I can't remember which was the one we crossed over. And then we ended up in Westminster Abbey, gorgeous, huge cathedral and while we were there, the church bells were singing and it was super loud, and there was a procession. There was probably mass happening. It was pretty epic. So everything from that and walking along the Thames River, seeing the London Eye, the Millennium Bridge from a distance, and we got to ride a double-decker bus, and I breastfed while my son took a nap in it. So that was pretty cool. It was like raining so hard outside in the streets, and we really needed to get somewhere, so we jumped on in, and it was just such a fun experience. And you really can't always do as much as you have on your list, because just traveling with a kid or a toddler or with a baby, it's a whole other ball game. There's naps that are needed and carrying him all the time, and then you would get tired. And then for nap time, we had them in some very interesting places because we were out and about, and I didn't even plan any of this. We were just reading off of each other. And then gauging by where we were, we would make those decisions. But here was one of them. He was starting to get really tired. I really wanted to go to the Leaky Tunnel. And I could tell that you just feel it. You just know. The collective family nervous system was just really needing a break. So we went into this very fancy hotel, and we just walked in as if we were part of their guests, I guess. Just walk on in. We were really well dressed, and we're a pretty respectful little family, and we just walked in to find a quiet little sofa off to the side. But the people were so nice and so sweet, and it was also raining, because it was raining and sunny, rain, sun, the whole time we were there. And the people at the entrance were so welcoming, and they're like, "Is everything okay? Is the kid okay? Are you okay?" And I'm like, yeah, everything is fine. And we just went off to the side there, and he took a nap, and we got to catch up with meditations, emails, that kind of thing. And that was super sweet. And one of the people that work there, he was attracted to us and us to him too, because we were always just sitting there smiling and watching people pass by. And he was from Afghanistan, and we got to meet him and listen to his life story. And then he came over with some treats and some water or juice. Just so much hospitality, so much greatness, and what a sweet man. And we just appreciated, and it was great. At another point in time, we were in an adventure the following day, and I could tell my son was starting to get tired, so we just took a nap in a bench, or he took a nap. I wasn't taking a nap. He took a nap, and we were just sitting in a bench in a memorial park after World War II, and lots of trees and birds, and it was close to the river, and the wind was just going through. It was so perfect. The temperature was just so fine. I always traveled with a little blanket in my backpack too, that I could cover him. And I just sat there waiting for him for an hour while I watched falcons and gulls and songbirds interplaying with their songs in an urban environment. I brought my binoculars, so I did some bird watching while he took a nap. And there was so much that was jam-packed in this trip. It was so beautiful. And we were so impressed by the amount of green parks in the city. One of our favorite ones was the St. James Park. And my son got to interact with feeding the birds and actually even touching some of them. I guess they're so used to human interaction. And there was a huge, seemingly older white pelican that would walk right next to us. And it spread its wings, and it was this huge wingspan. Something that I never had that kind of experience, to be so close to a wild bird like that. It was just magnificent. And then we went to the St. James Park Cafe and had some yummy nourishment and iced tea. It was honestly like rolling from one thing into another adventure, and it was just magnificent. I guess they call that being in the flow, right? And it really felt like being on a red carpet ride. One door would open, and then you would know when it was time to exit that situation or place, and another one would open, and it was just this beautiful flow and unfolding. And plazas that would open up, and beautiful trees and different songbirds. And it was, gosh, it feels like just like a dream now. We went to Buckingham Palace and we made the guards smile with our curiosity. My son would just yell at them and be like, "Hi, hi." And it was just, I could just feel like their hearts were just softening, and it would bring them to a smile. So there you go. Wherever we went, there we were, and we were just pouring our love out, and eyes wide open, lots of smiles, and spreading our love wherever we went. One of our favorite days and moments was the highest greenhouse in London, called the Sky Garden. And if you get a chance to visit there, oh my God, it is guaranteed to be full of amazing flora and epic views of the whole city. And they have, I think, 3 or 4 places to eat and drink. We went to one that was called the Darwin Brasserie, and it was amazing. It had beautiful views. The food was so delicious and fresh. And because we had reservations to the Darwin Brasserie, we skipped the whole line altogether to enter the Sky Garden, and were given like priority entrance. Just being able to be so high above, seeing all the different iconic architectural places like St. Paul's Cathedral and the Tower Bridge, just from a super high point of view. And also it's just beautiful seeing all these trees and flowers that are growing so big and lush, so high up in a building. It was pretty amazing. We got to see also old Roman walls from the Londinium ancient city of London. And we appreciated nature and life at the very serene gardens of St. Dunstan Chapel. There was a little squirrel that even climbed up to my son as he fed her trail mix. And then we would go to eat delicious food at these amazing restaurants that they have, like Thai food, which we really miss and we wish we had in our town. And we used a lot of Ubers instead of the tube. And we tried the tube, but it was so jam-packed and we just could not get in. And after all the illnesses that we were trying to heal before the trip, I just wasn't feeling up for it. But at least we got to see, or to show my son, what a subway looks like, because all he had ever seen before was Curious George in the subway. And Ubers are really a great way to get places. It's really affordable and easy to plan, and they are everywhere. And you get to see the city while at it. So instead of being underground, we got to see even other places that were on our list that we wouldn't have seen if we had been in the tube. So it was great. And with a little kiddo, They don't have strict car seat laws, so he could just sit in the middle of us in the back seat area, and it was still legally fine in London, so that was super great. Oh yeah, and with some of our Uber drivers, we even made new friends. Like one of our drivers that took us to the Sky Garden was from Eritrea, and we exchanged YouTube channels. And now we're following each other and can comment on each other's videos. It was so great. We were listening to my music and my mom's song to our destination, and he was like, "Wow, you sing? You were singing this?" And it was just really fun to exchange our life stories. And then we wrapped up our London visit with a beautiful morning seminar retreat with my teacher in Hampstead Heath. It was this beautiful center. The retreat was on the embodiment of the goddess, and I really want to share more with you guys about the downloads and the core of the spiritual matter of all my classes in the coming episodes. I'm just not there yet because this is just going to take me some time to put words into it, because this experiential was so different than my line of work and the line of work that I've ever done. I've really never met anybody like my teacher, Ash. She is a very unique interplanetary soul with decades of training in the ancient Egyptian mystery school ways. And she works a lot with gateways and portals like nobody I have ever met before. So as I digest and process my own downloads, my experiences, and the openings I have felt, and I think I really need some time also listening to the replays, I will share tidbits as I go along with you. And sometimes, like, listening to the replays is really nice because the second time around, or third or fourth, you start to hear and vibrate differently to the new information. It just starts to sink and arrive more deeply into your cells and your cellular memory. But what I can say right now is that I loved her, and I loved meeting her and her community and her family and her teachings and her energy and her school. And now I'm already starting to save up for our next big trip in retreat with her. We really want to enjoy the world, heal ourselves and the world with her by our side. And we were just so impressed, and we just can't imagine any other way of doing this moving forward. So I'm already starting, as of today, a savings account for our international travel with our community, wherever it is that we are being called to be, and with her moving forward. I am beyond words grateful and enriched by her presence in our lives as a family. So after London, we proceeded to enjoy the beachside at Brighton, and the storms when we arrived were so strong. The wind was so strong, I almost felt like I literally was going to fly off. So we ran as quickly as we could to find refuge in a great restaurant that was really good, and luckily not so far from our flat. But on the way back, we definitely needed an Uber, because even if it was just a few blocks away, that wind was so strong that the next day I woke up with like a sore throat. But luckily, I healed pretty quickly, and we were able to enjoy Brighton so much. There is this Indian palace, like Indian architecture palace and park, and that was so beautiful. We didn't get to go inside, but we enjoyed the culture and the people sitting on the park and the architecture. We had just had a beautiful late lunch of pizza. And what I really loved about these Italian restaurants was that it was all authentic cuisine, because we are in Europe and these people are actually Italian. So the food was super fresh and very delicious, and it was just so great. My son got to play in the ocean for the first time in his life. That was so beautiful to see him with his dad, because dad's a lot stronger, he was able to like pick him up and dip him in the water and then lift him back up because the waves were pretty strong. He was so into it. It was really hard for him to leave the Pebble Brighton beach. We spent some time with sea creatures at their cute little local aquarium, and my son really loved that very much. He was able to just relate to all these things that we had seen on videos, but now he could see them moving live, like the squid and all these different kind of fish and octopuses. And they even had some jungle tarantulas and snakes as well. So it was very educational, very cool. And Brighton also has these super adorable little lanes that I highly recommend to just get lost and walk through all these tiny little lanes of restaurants and ice cream shops. We made a new friend there too, like at the ice cream shop where this lady from Poland, we connected with her over her Flower of Life tattoo on her arm. We exchanged cards and recognized each other as seekers on the path, and it was just really sweet. I can't wait to actually unpack because I haven't yet fully unpacked. I didn't even take very much. I've just been so busy, but I have my small bags here right next to me, and I can't wait to unpack them and take out all the business cards and contact cards and actually reach out to some of the people that we met on this trip because it was super special and very sweet. Then the following days were just pure travel adventure. We rented a car. We had never driven on the left side before, and the first minutes were nerve-wracking. But honestly, after a half an hour, my husband got the hang of it. And then we were off to Arundel Castle in the town of Arundel, Arundel. And it was one of the cutest little medieval looking towns ever. They had amazing bakeries. We made new friends there too. And it was raining so hard when we got there, but it didn't last very long. Shortly after, the sun would come out and then it would rain again. But we weren't able to really get out to explore much of the castle. It was closed that day because it was on a Monday. But we were able to see parts of it from the outside. And then we carried on to go to West Overton of Avebury Stone Circle. And it was so magical. That town was like thatch roofs and like the traditional one that you see of like English little hobbit homes. And we got to our rental, got to ground out for a little bit, and then we headed out to the stones and were able to just spend time with them and feel their magical energy and hold them and hug them and just lay our third eye on these huge, colossal, massive stones. And while walking on that land, you could just feel the vibration was different. You knew you were stepping into very ancient, sacred land and sites. West Overton was adorable. It was definitely, it felt like a magical, very nature, lots of trees and beautiful little casitas, hobbit homes. It just felt very much like an enchanted little town and very quiet and peaceful. And we loved the family that we stayed at. All the people that we stayed at, all our hotels and rentals were amazing. Like we would definitely stay there again. And we got to stay with a family, and the mom has 2 kids, and my kid got to play with her kids, and it was just so beautiful to witness. And they speak English and German, and it was so inspiring. And it was like a tiny little permaculture oasis that she created, and a super great flat with kitchen and even laundry, and it had a big bathtub, so my son was able to enjoy a bath, which we don't have a bathtub, so he never really has had that experience. So that was a super plus. And West Overton has this amazing best Indian food. They had a restaurant called The Burge, and oh my God, shout out to them. That food was incredible. It was like fancy cuisine, Indian, delicious food, and I just wish we could have brought some of that food back with us. So from Avebury, we then drove to Stonehenge to meet with my teacher, and that was the start of our little sacred sites tour with her and her community. And Stonehenge, the energy there is definitely from another dimension in time. You could also just feel it upon arrival. It's perhaps the world's most famous prehistoric monument, and it was so magical to do spiritual work there and activation there. And I had never done this kind of work before. I was definitely feeling very guided, very protected, and very held by the physical experience of us as humans doing this work, and knowing that this place was really ancient with a lot of energy and activation that was also beyond these dimensions, and with beings from the other side that felt like it was really important work for the clean lines of communication, for the healing and uplifting of the earth and each other. It was truly amazing. And then we proceeded to Glastonbury, and there we got to visit an old beautiful church called St. Margaret's Chapel. And after that, the magnificent Glastonbury Abbey, which in the words of my teacher, she describes it as, Glastonbury Abbey was England's wealthiest, though it would later be eclipsed by Westminster Abbey. Its buildings and grounds were magnificent, and its abbots wielded secular as well as spiritual power. In 1190, the monks discovered bones they claimed to be those of Arthur and Guinevere buried on the grounds. So we did spiritual work there, gateways and portal cleansing, and inner activation for healing and strength as well. And Glastonbury reminded me so much of Mount Shasta, and walking through the old streets and alleys with our group as we looked for a restaurant to dine in together was very sweet and memorable. You could see lots of crystal stores and those kinds of spiritual little stores with incenses and old pubs. And in fact, the hotel where we stayed at, that hotel had the oldest pub in England, and they said it was from the 14th centuries. So it just felt like walking in history. And Glastonbury as well felt like it had been bathed by a lot of seekers and spiritual seekers' energy. But as my teacher would later say to me, you have to be very careful because you want the energy to not be corrupt and polluted. You really need to find a lot of groundedness and alignment in order to find teachings and teachers that are aligned with the truth and not corrupted. And I couldn't agree with her more. And as such, I felt like I was in really good hands and very well taken care of by studying with her, and not just like leaning on any kind of spiritual teacher. I knew this lady was very well recommended as a colleague of my other teachers, and I knew that she was very well trained and studied, and I just loved. And you just know when you know in your heart that you're connected to something very pure and very well-intentioned. So definitely another great thing that we felt about experiencing very powerful sacred sites with a very well-trained teacher. And the next morning, we did more activation work in Glastonbury, this time at the entrance of Glastonbury Tor. And that morning, it just poured on us big time. But just as we culminated the teachings, the sky parted, the rain stopped, and the birds were singing, including this tiny little robin. The robins are a lot smaller than the American robins, and was able to get so close to us and our teacher, and it was just like singing to her. And I loved it so much when the birds would get so close to us to validate the profound work that was being done as a form of gratitude, or at least that's just how I interpreted and how I felt about it. Some of us proceeded to walk the spiral high incline, this huge hill towards the actual tower itself, the Glastonbury Tor. I had no idea what I was getting into. I just really wanted to see it, but the more I kept going on the trail, the farther it felt and the harder it was to see it. And I had no idea that it was all spiral, and like it was only until a certain point when you were further in the journey that you could actually see the tower. And oh my God, my legs were so tired, but it was so worth it. And the view from the top was incredible. It was glorious. And I found myself noticing that a lot of these places that we were going in general are mild hills or flat. So when you had those really big hills like Glastonbury Tor, there was another famous hill, I can't remember the name of it right now, near Avebury, and it's kind of salient and unique, and therefore it had a lot of significance and power for that place. So when you get to them, you get this like opening of the landscape, and you're able to see in so many directions, just because England, in that part at least where we were, it just doesn't have big mountains like, say, the Rockies or the Sierra Nevadas, or even here where we live in the Black Hills in South Dakota. And the way that the sky was spreading when I got to the top of that tour, it was just like incredible. It was like wings with light that were reaching as far as I could see. And it really felt like it was a kind of song that kept saying, "Welcome home," like a welcoming from the angels and the spiritual beings, and saying something like, "Welcome back," and that we entrust you. We need each other, and we need to be together. We need one another to uplift the vibrations of the earth towards the highest of the frequencies, because what affects one place affects everyone else, no matter where they are in this universe or another, because we are all entangled and part of the one. In my teacher's words, Glastonbury Tor, St. Michael's Church, 1323, is the highest point of surrounding Glastonbury, and a viewpoint where the St. Michael and St. Mary lays intersect as an ancient mystical pattern of pilgrimage paths. So from the descent of the Tor, I was able to save also some of the sacred waters of the white springs below. I think they have two. It's the white and the red springs, I believe it is. And they are known to have sister frequencies with the springs of Stewart Mineral Springs from Mount Shasta, which we have been to before. And they were my favorite springs to soak in from anywhere and everywhere. And I have some beautiful memories and cleansing moments in those springs at Mount Shasta when my husband and I lived there. That was over a decade ago. But while I was there in Glastonbury, I was able to save some of the white spring water, and not only did I put it over my head and my face, we now have it in our altar for any kind of sacred purpose in the future. In the words of my teacher about these springs, they are linked possibly to the Holy Grail, and it goes like this: Chalice Well is also known as the Red Spring. The natural spring and surrounding gardens are owned and managed by the Chalice Well Trust, founded in 1959. Chalice Well marks the site where Joseph of Arimathea placed the chalice that caught the drops of Christ's blood at the crucifixion, linking the well to the wealth of speculation surrounding the existence of the Holy Grail. In honor of the legend of the White Spring, Silver Spring Temple was created. Well, this feels like a good place to take a good pause. And my son is back from his school, so it's time to integrate, edit, and do other parts of the podcast release. And I just wanted to say that as I stood there with these sacred waters of Glastonbury in my hands, I had no idea that the journey was going to unfold the way it did. So let's give a pause and do a part 2. In part 2, I'll take you deeper into Cornwall, the southwestern tip of England. I could have never imagined going there in my life. I had seen all the YouTube videos and how profoundly beautiful it was, but I had no idea that our souls would visit such a pristine and beautiful part of the earth. Then there's Tintagel Castle and St. Ives, and some of the most meaningful conversations and activations from our Sacred Sites pilgrimage. We'll also explore the surprising lessons that followed once I returned home, the integration process, it's still happening, and the energy of the summer solstice, the universal 7-month, the Cancer season, the 1-year anniversary of our podcast. Yay, you guys, we did it. And some other exciting new creative projects that are taking shape in the moment. There is so much more to share, and I can't wait to have that moment with you. Until then, take a breath, trust your unfolding, and remember that sometimes the most important part of the journey is centered around integration, pausing, more stillness, and when we return home. With so much love to all that you are, who you are becoming, and what is unfolding from our home, MC Mama Bird and the flock. Namaste. Thank you for listening to the Empowered Soul podcast. If this episode touched your heart, I'd love for you to follow the show and share it with someone you love. Stay connected with us on Instagram, explore our website and blog, visit our YouTube channel, and discover more soulful creations here. healtruelove.com/links. Until next time, keep blooming exactly as you are and who you are becoming.